for that beautiful green jewel to pop back up over the horizon. At least we have a lovely view while we fail so many times. Just waiting. Should have a little more time now at least. Almost double the time. Howdy, howdy. Here's hoping for success this time. Guess we'll find out soon enough. It looks like there's going to be plenty of time to burn this off. I'm just worried about having the Delta V to actually make it back up into space, let alone making orbit around Tylo again. It's going to be hairy, very hairy. Have more time to disengage from the dock, turn these engines on, reorient, all that good stuff. About 25 seconds to go. Say, about that time we should be seeing Jewel come over the horizon. Get a good feeling about this. About 5 more seconds. We're still gonna have 73,000 or so altitude. Not bad. Alright, cut that off, disengage, and undock. Let that fall. Of course that's gonna happen. Okay, let's try that again. Quickly. Miss for the first time. That's always challenging, difficult. Much like making your first rendezvous in dock. But once you get the hang of all that, the rest of it is comparably cakewalk. After you get the planetary transfers down, landing is about the same. Problem is getting there. Once I get this down to about 50 meters per second, then I'm gonna back off and let it fall. Right, we're still moving at a pretty decent rate of speed, but as you can see, we're only slowing down by about 5 meters per second. The closer we get, the worse that's going to get. on this moon is so heavy. I know we're going to be able to land at least, but I'm not sure about anything beyond landing. We are increasing speed pretty rapidly whenever I back off. I don't think I can warp now. Nope. Okay. Let's make a fourth quick save and see what we can do. At least you don't have too far to go save that Kerbal. Sucks that the ship was destroyed though. Rescue missions are always fun. If I get it down to about 100, it's going to take at least 11-12 seconds of burn time to completely slow down to a stop. So from there, I just have to keep an eye on this speed. 15 seconds of burn, 16, 17, 18 now. We're getting close though. Hope it's a decent spot. Beggars can't be choosers whenever you're trying to land on Tylo, but I hope it's a decent spot. So I might have to ditch this stage and use the other stage, and it doesn't have any landing gear. It does, however, have enough room to land on those tiny little engines, but I don't know. I just don't know. RCS isn't helping at all. I'm gonna need it to stabilize once I land though. It's like it was picked up by the Kraken and I fast forward time and it fell, but it fell too hard. Very nice ship. Thank you for the compliment on the ship. It's been very useful so far. I might have to retire it here at Tylo though. But as far as that goes, yeah, the Kraken, sometimes you just can't help it. Oh crap, okay. Oh boy, let's angle a little bit here. This is not gonna be good. I'm not burning off enough speed. I did this too late, I think. Come on. Hurry up and go boom. Maybe if I turn the RC, yeah, the RCS is already on. Okay, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, no. Ugh. Well. Well then. At least now I know that I can make it at 100 meters, or I mean 100,000 meters, but I just have to be way more attentive. This thing is not gonna... Yeah, that was a bad idea. I've been doing all the other moons in sequence, and, well, let's see. Right now, I'm at year 99, day 359. It took a few years to get over here, but, I mean, like, in-game it took a few years, but I have to reload. So when I started the Jewel missions, it was year 99, and now it's, wait, no, it wasn't year 99, it was year 31. Now it's year 99, and that's probably 6 different launches to construct the station that I have around Jewel that's going from moon to moon, with these vessels landing on each moon and then coming back to the station with all the science, and after deploying all the breaking ground modules. I'm trying to use one vessel for every one of them except for Lathe, so I don't have to like keep sending more and more missions out here and then returning them back home, just trying to do it all in one whack, but it's certainly been a challenge. "2 inches above ground." I think you'll eventually hit a hill. If you do it like from the highest point on whatever planet or moon you're on, well, it's got to be a moon, but like say you're on the Mun or Minmus and you're at the highest possible point, like the highest hill or mountain, you can go up maybe a couple inches and make an orbit. It'll require a lot of speed, and you'll still probably hit something because the gravity still might pull you in. I'm not sure if it will in the game, but it certainly would in real life. 10 meters. Was that around Minmus? I'm not sure if there's any other easier places to do that besides maybe Gilly, but the terrain on Gilly's ridiculous. It would have to be somewhere flatter or along a nice flat level plane around the orbit. 10 meters, that's insane. I mean, 10 meters or 10 kilometers? It's like 10 kilometers is about the standard height that I use for my orbits around moons. I'm on career mode. It didn't show the rest of that message. It ended at I also. Oh hey, I'm starting to go up. Whoops. I think I just wasted about 60 Delta V just now. And they did make it to the surface, which is nice and all, but I want to actually land it to where it can take back off and not get destroyed. As long as I can still take back off. It's not going to have enough Delta V to do much though. I mean, at best, I can hope to maybe just shoot straight up and escape Tylo's gravitational influence. And if that happens, then I can send that station out to capture it and move on to the next moon. But it's definitely not going to make orbit, I don't think. This is certainly a challenge. It's a bit of a speed bump right now for me. I haven't played this career since it's strictly online for a little over a month, I want to say. I'm just now getting back into it, trying to finish all these Jewel moons. But it certainly hasn't been easy. That will tell me how far the ground is once that lands, maybe. Okay, so how many more meters do I have to go? to 1,000. Probably 1,000. Okay, more than that. That's good at least. There it is, 2,000, give or take. Okay, so I'll be landing at about 1,300 meters. So I've got until 1,300 meters to slow this speed down. That's plenty of time. I just have to maintain the descent. Part of that actually landed. Are you for real? 5 seconds and 6 seconds of burn time, perhaps. But it can land upward, that's the thing. 3, 2... There we go. Nice and controlled. Nailed it. Okay. Well, we made it, at least. Now we can deploy the science. I'm not sure we're gonna leave, though. I really needed to return this vessel to Kerbin, though, because now I'm gonna have to go back and land on each one of them, and then come back from each one of them all over again. Ugh, that's a pain. Very true. Let's see what my most recent one was. I think it was number 3. Nope, number 4, so I'll be replacing number 5. Now this is where this vessel really shines. All this stuff I have packed into it. Ah, crap, all the science from all the moons are in this thing too. That's bad. Well, I can always just transmit it all, at least. So that's a lot of data. All, but we'll get to that here momentarily. I'm gonna do something else first. See, I can send another vessel strictly to land here and collect all that and bring them home. Still gonna suck having to go to the other moons again and land on them and return from them again, but it is what it is. Let's get this engineer out here. All that gravity and he's slowly moving up. Huh. Okay, where's the good stuff? Is that the goo? This is all the science. Crazy thing is, I don't even think I needed these ladders on this side. Nope, because I can reach all this stuff here. Okay, there's the experiment control module. We'll deploy it first. Find somewhere nice to put it. Hopefully close. I'm very curious about what parts actually made it from the landing stage. curious enough to go venturing over there just yet, though. I'm gonna place all this stuff and get this over with. That's a really good question. I have another vessel, a mining vessel, that I could try to land down here, if it will land, because it's mostly rated for vacuum missions instead of atmospheric, but Tylo might as well just be another Kerbin, so it might not have enough to make it, but I can try that, and if that works, that'll be awesome. If it doesn't, then I'm gonna have to create another vessel entirely and send it out here to pick them up. And if that works, then I'll be able to rescue the science that I have here as well. If not, then I guess they're gonna be permanent residents. Nah, I wouldn't do that. The only habs I like to make are on atmospheric planets like Duna and Lathe. Well, Lathe is a moon, but... oh. Well. You know, that makes me a bit curious. Whenever I kick that off, that actually landed. That's kind of crazy. I wonder if, well, I'm not even going to bother wondering about that. There's no sense in wondering about it now. I was kind of thinking, well, what if it could have smashed into the ground and survived? But I highly doubt that, so there's no sense in me wondering about that. This is my situation, and I'm going to have to live with it, I guess. I do have enough saves to be able to go back before I even attempted doing this, and I could just move on from here and go to Val and just leave this for another mission of its own, much like I'm going to do with Lathe, but I don't know if I want to do that, because it took a lot to get here, and for all of this to be going the way that it is, it took a lot of preparing. And really the whole purpose was to get this breaking ground science out. I'm gonna have to build something, I suppose, to try to save them. This is like my big 3 crew. They've been doing all these missions. I was planning on letting them retire on Lathe once they were done, but I don't know. Let's see, this has power, this has power, this has power. Plenty of power, right? Nope. Oh yeah, plenty of power. Okay. I don't want to waste any modules that I don't have to waste. I think that's really all the modules I'll need deployed. It's a shame to have to waste so much of this. Oh, good lord. Can one breathe? The only one they can breathe on is Lathe. Duna and Eve don't have the proper atmosphere. Those are the other atmospheric worlds. Let's put the brakes on, turn that off, and turn that off. Should be fine. It's still moving though, I think. Get the mission commander out here to plant this flag. Or I might have to do the unthinkable and make these Kerbals do the ultimate sacrifice. Let's get my bearings here. Okay, there's the sun. I think it's setting that way, so plant this right here. Not on this file. I do on another file where I was colonizing Lathe. I was planning on hitting Lathe after this and Val is done. I was going to leave Lathe for its own mission after I'd sent them to all the other moons around Jewel besides Lathe, and having Lathe as its own mission. Really the only thing I have left now is Val, and then I'll be able to go to Lathe. I haven't landed on Elu in this file yet, and I don't think I've landed on Drez yet, or Moho on this either, but really all that is all I have left. I forgot what I was even, I'll just name it T1LZ. That'll work. Sample EVA report, grab a rock, and figure out what we're gonna do from there. Alright, where's the closest? Not seeing any rocks. Oh, I think I see a rock. A couple rocks. Okay. I need to go towards 110, 108 degrees, somewhere around there. RCS is gonna work, right? Please tell me I'm gonna be able to... I'm not gonna walk all the way over there. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to walk all the way over there. Are you serious? It's not cool. It's gonna take forever. Yeah, that's not really that essential, so I'm not gonna do that. Maybe a rover can take care of that. Bringing back a rock is no longer a priority. Okay, get you over here next to the vessel. Let the other Kerbals get near their stuff. Let's see, scientist, you go over here near your science stuff. And the engineer can chill in between them. Alright, my little Kerbals. Let's smile for the picture, or smile for the camera. So if I may, can you help me with this problem that I have on the Mun, as I've been trying to save the 4 or 5 Kerbals that are on the Mun? So they're just stranded on the surface, right? And they just need another vessel to come pick them up. Okay, there are a couple ways I can try to help. One is to recommend some things like asparagus staging with fuel lines, so when you kick those stages, you're able to still have a full tank for a central stage that all the other stages are asparagus staged around. I have a ton of Mun mission and Minimus mission videos on my YouTube too that you could like check out and use as examples for creating your vessels and so on. But I would probably have to like see what's going on with your mission to be able to really help out. Do you have any of the stuff on your like YouTube account or on Twitch or anything? Where in the world is Jewel? I'm trying to get a picture of Jewel with them, but I'm not seeing Jewel anywhere. Let's see, go to the map. Oh, is it totally locked? I think this is totally locked. Oh no, it's rotating. Okay. Or wait, it is totally locked, isn't it? Yeah, we're never gonna get to see Jewel from this side of the moon. Well, that blues. Let's get a little sunlight at least. There. Every time I try, I run out of fuel or crash. Also, I don't have Twitch. I play KSP on the Xbox, but because PC determined. Well, do you have any of your stuff from playing on the Xbox uploaded here to YouTube? I can see what exactly is going on and try to give you a solution for it. Guess that's gonna be as good of a picture as I can get. Not really, but I can. So yeah, it'd be cool to like watch what's going on, but if not, I can try to here shortly. As soon as I'm wrapped up here in a second, I'll actually go to the Mun real fast and show you how I do it. Okay, I'm all wrapped up with that, so I'm gonna get these Kerbals back inside their ship here, save, and then I'll show you and explain as I'm doing it what I do to go to the Mun. And I'll even use the Mun launchpad as like a target to use as an example of like a landing location for where your Kerbals might be. Hey, how's it going, dude? Pretty rough right now. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it back from Tylo, and I'm gonna have to rescue these Kerbals. And I'm gonna have to leave the vessel that I've been landing on all the other moons behind, and that kinda ruins my plan for using one vessel to go to every moon around Jewel. So I'm gonna have to go back to each and every one of them and still return to Kerbin again, which is gonna be a pain, but I've got the breaking ground science deployed on all of them so far, so that's out of the way at least, and all I have to worry about doing is landing and returning now. But gotta wrap this mission up real fast and help our new friend here with his Mun rescue mission, or try to at least. I think for now I'm gonna keep the science that I have where it is in this. I've only got about 521 Delta V. I don't think I can really do a whole lot with that. It's gonna take at least maybe anywhere between 2200 to 3000 or more. I do not have an Xbox, unfortunately. I'm playing on the PS4. But, now that I'm done with this, I'll do a real quick Mun mission to try to show you some things that might be able to help you out. See how my funding's looking before I decide how I'm gonna do that. Oh, I've got plenty. Okay. Let's go back to the Space Center. Oh, no problem. I'll probably step out for a few minutes to go smoke real fast before doing it after I make the vessel real fast though, so I can try to show you some things about the vessel creation that might help out, and then we'll start the mission, and I'll try to help you out more as I go through the mission explaining things. But for now, I'll create a vessel real fast and show you that. I don't know if it's going to be cross-platform. I know they're planning for multiplayer though. I'm really excited to see how that's going to go. As far as cross-platforming go, Sony's never really been too kind about that, as far as I can tell. I have not tried to make a Ferris wheel. So you said you have how many Kerbals stuck on the Mun? 5? KSP 2 is going to be awesome. It's going to suck waiting for it to come out on console, but whenever it finally does, it's going to be awesome. Four or 5. Okay, so we're going to need at least 5 to 6 slots, because we're going to have at least a pilot to be able to go there. Oh, okay. Well, also you can, like, send a ship to put in orbit around the Mun, and then send another one to land on the Mun, and then rendezvous with the station and take them back from there. But I'm gonna try to make a vessel that'll be able to pick up all of them in one whack without having to deal with any of that, provided that you have the parts unlocked for it. Like if you're playing career, I'll try to use lower tier parts unless you have all of them unlocked. Just depends on what you have. But I'm gonna get the basics of this vessel's design out of the way real fast. Making sure that it has enough chutes and so on. Happened when I launched the first one. The return vessel crashed because of the Kraken. Oh, that's always fun. With that, you just have to like reload to save and keep trying until the Kraken backs off, really. First thing I'm going to want to do though is make sure that that's going to be enough parachutes. I'll do that here shortly. Let's see. Definitely going to need one of these just in case. You can never be too sure. Because if they get stranded in orbit, then you can at least go dock and pick them back up. But we're going to get all these essentials out of the way, make sure that that's enough parachutes, and take it from there. Oh, that sucks. It really sucks losing one of the original 4. Very sorry to hear about the death of Bill there. Glad that Jeb lived, but, I mean, Bill too. Yeah. I love Bill, love Bob, love Val, love Jeb. I almost never use them on any missions. Always terrified of losing them. So there's 100 monopropellant, that will be enough in case we have to use it. And that'll be a nice, solid, sturdy return capsule for all 5 of them. So you can fit 4 in here, 3 in here, that's 7. And you can take 1 pilot, knocking it down to 6. You can take a backup pilot or an engineer to like fix anything that might get broken. That sounds pretty buggy. I hope your career file isn't like completely bugged out or something. Yeah, if they can survive at times re-entry and then like smashing into the ground from like 20 kilometers. I mean, I guess it also depends on the difficulty though, but I really don't know. Oh. I'm going to test this thing to see if those parachutes are going to be okay. They should be, but I don't like to... I like to test a failure and then success and make sure everything's going to be good. And we're going to find out real fast. I'm just going to pop a tiny little tank on here and kick it up into the air and see what happens. It's going to have... Alright, so here's one of the first tips for like making the vessel. Outside of making sure that you always have a docking port just in case, proper parachutes, RCS, making sure that the RCS thrusters are relatively balanced on where the vessel is. Like by the time it kicks that off, there's the center, and those RCS thrusters should be either at the center or around the center for balance. Third vessel was with Better Rover because first one did not work and it's meant to group up the Kerbals. Oh, so you're attaching and transporting a rover with your rocket. Is that right? But also, so that's pretty much it for the return pod tips for that. Keep forgetting. Oh yeah, okay, the next thing. It's like its mass is at 100, or I mean 13.080. So, how's the best way to explain this? See how thrust in the vacuum for the Cheetah is at 125 kilonewtons. If this were at 12 tons, it would barely move it. If it was at 12.5 tons, it practically wouldn't move it at all, almost. as it stands, it's at 13.08, so this skiff would be ideal. And it's showing over here now that I have 169 meters per second of delta V. Showing delta V still, but it's barely gonna move it. So what I'm gonna do is put the skiff on it and go test this thing out real fast. Okay, let's test this out real fast. Fourth one just had seats for all, but not enough fuel. Too dangerous to fly again. Hopefully what we're doing here will give you some ideas and help you out, but we'll take it one step at a time. Want to make sure that this is going to be a safe vessel for all of them to make it back on. So far it's somewhat stable. Oh crap, did I remember to... No, I did not, okay. Try to use even better rover, but somehow was launched out of influence of carbon. Oh, yikes. That's always fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing all of these historical challenge entries. It's going to be a very exciting month. And the video compilation at the very end of the month is going to be like the most epic thing ever. Let's try to kick that and then deploy these chutes. Let the drogues go do their thing. This should be enough for this to land. Oh yeah, 6.4, that's going to land perfectly fine. Let's watch this as it slams into the ocean. It's going to get loud here in a second. Oh, I wouldn't do that. Okay. Altogether, really, I've only played like about a week's worth of Breaking Ground because I took like a month off, at least online. I played a lot offline, but oh god, it's so fun. It's so worth it too. That's the most important part. I hope a lot of people caught that in the calendar too, that like it's not only going to be focused, or judged on the accuracy of the vessel, but like how detailed the missions are with the vessels that are being recreated. Like landing in the same spot or making the same kind of orbit, the same kind of transfer, and so on and so forth. Like, the more detail people put into that, the higher the odds are of them winning or getting first, second, third. Like, it can be a mission to Mars for, like, the Pathfinder, but if it doesn't land in a similar area, doesn't have the same kind of transfer, no other details like that, down to a T, just a similar looking rover, kind of half accurate, and then someone goes out there and does, like, the Apollo 11 mission down to a T, that Apollo 11 mission is going to take precedence over that rover mission, even though that rover was sent all the way out to Duna. So I launched another rover for easy recovery mission. You can, like, with even going to the Mun or Minmus, you can make a rover that is capable of being the rocket itself, as long as it has a way of, like, ejecting the Kerbals in a safe return pod, like the ones used in the Soyuz, the little balls. You can attach one of those to a rover even. You just have to make sure the rover has enough delta V to be able to take off from the surface, make orbit, and do a transfer back to Kerbin. Are you pretty good at, like, making rendezvous and docking back with any vessels around the Mun or things like that? So now that we've tested this and know that it's rated to be able to return, we can build the transfer vessel and the landing on the Mun part, like that stage, and then the return stage. For now, I'm going to revert it back to launch and then revert it back to vehicle assembly, because mine has a bug to where if I just revert straight back to the assembly, the vehicle or the rocket or whatever it is and the Kerbals that I just launched would stay out there, and I'd have to recover it still for some reason. You'd never docked before. Okay, so this is going to be fun. This is going to be like a direct transfer to the Mun, land, pick them up, and come back home kind of thing then, right? Docking is a very important thing to master. I would spend as much time as possible trying to learn that as quickly as possible. Because once you are able to dock, you open up a whole new, like, world, like a variety of things that you can do, including Apollo-style missions, which is where you make orbit around the planet or the moon that you're going to, and you separate the vehicle into two vehicles, and one of them lands and then pops back up into orbit around the planet or the moon, and docks back up to that other vessel, can transfer leftover fuel, etc., ditch the landing vessel, and then use the other one to make it back home. But for now, I'm just gonna surmise that this is gonna be like a direct go there, land, pick up the Kerbals, reorbit, and then make it back to Kerbin. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish making this for that now, and then we'll take care of that. But I'm gonna smoke a cigarette in between that. Alright, we have 8.5 tons for our mass. We're aiming to make it no larger than 20 tons for this stage. Because this stage is going to be using this engine right here, the Poodle. And it cannot do more than 25 tons. And really, you don't want it to be more than like 23, 22 tons at best, or else it's not really going to be fuel efficient. So we'll get that taken care of, that stage first. This is going to be the return stage, quote unquote. I think we'll be able to fit, where to go, one of these. Say it's 9 tons, that'll put it up to like 19.7, or, okay, yeah, 17.5 tons. We'll put that on, and then we'll attach the Poodle. That'll be enough for a return, like, for sure. The message ends at "and," but I've never gotten of. If there was more to the message that I needed to see. Gotta make sure that all of these are set to root, all the actual ports are set to grandparent. Any of them that have control wheels are set to heavy. Depending on the difficulty, like if you're playing on easy, they won't burn up. Well, I mean, well, they will depending on the speed they're coming in, but Kerbals are surprisingly resilient. If you're playing on easy, it's almost impossible to kill one, but that's actually some great advice there from Paul, if you want to practice that way. You've never gotten off the mun. This is a vehicle that will hopefully take care of that problem for you after we're done designing it. But this is the return stage. Now we have to build the landing stage onto it. And that's where the asparagus staging that I mentioned is going to come in handy. Like you'll attach decouplers, and we're going to go with, we'll keep it simple, so we'll go with about 4. We'll place it diagonally like this. And it's better, honestly, if you do it like 2 by 2, like this. That way you can ditch 2 and then ditch the other 2 after that. But just for this purpose, though, we're just gonna do a straight 4 radial, like this. And then we'll attach our tanks. They're gonna have to be a little smaller though, so we'll use these. We gotta make sure that these are set to grandparent port. Same for the tanks. I think we might want to play it safe and put a reaction control wheel here. Set it to heavy. That way we have a little bit more control, especially for landing. And then for the engines, where these only weigh about 4.5, it will be perfect to put Terriers on all 4 of those. And make sure that those, like all other engines, are set to root. And since we are launching from Kerbin, not sure what engines. So you don't have the Poodle. You should have the Terrier though, right? But you don't have the Poodle? Or do you have all these parts? It's been so long I can't remember what all engines and parts. I know like the big ones like the Mastodon engine and some of these other tanks and so on came with it, but I can't remember what all engines and other parts came with making history. The Terrier came with it, or it didn't come with it? Okay, so you have the Poodle, that's good. Do you have the Terriers? Because if we don't have the Terriers, we can just stick swivels on. Swivels will have even more delta V. Well, I mean, it'll have less delta V, but more thrust to weight ratio. It'll still work. It'll just be a lot harder to land, depending on what kind of landing legs you have. If you have the Terriers, that'll be fantastic. If you don't have the Terriers, that will present a minor... Okay, cool, you have the Terriers. Alright, so once you get to this point, you can use like equivalent parts to try to make something similar. But since we are launching from Kerbin, we're going to have to put some nose cones on these. Preferably the ones that point inward like this. We'll set those to grandparent. And this is a pretty important part, like making sure that you strut everything Like, I'll strut these to each other real fast. Make sure that those are lined up correctly. There we go. We'll put some struts down here and some struts up here as well. Oh, okay, those nose cones are way off. Let's get those lined up a little better first. Why is that happening? What is up with the nose cones? I think that's right. Looks almost right. No, it's not right. Need to move those over a little bit more. That should be good, right? Looks right. No, they're not. Gosh, I'm doing terrible right now. Let's try this again. I'll just do them one at a time. For some reason, they're not placing properly, like they should be. Or, well, you know, since it's wanting to be like this. There we go. I think they'll... Nope, still not placing properly. So buggy. Okay, we'll just, we'll keep it simple and just use these. They weigh less anyways, so it'll be better, I think. Won't be as aerodynamic, but it'll work. And then we'll grandparent part those and grab the struts. And these will place correctly, which is nice. We'll strut this to about here. And now the important part of the asparagus staging is placing fuel lines on these outer tanks and then having them inward. Now, whenever you're firing off all of these engines, the Poodles and the Terriers, once you kick these side tanks off, you'll still have a fuel tank for your Poodle. And that way, you can place the Poodle with those Terriers, then eject those Terriers, have the Poodle to transfer back to Kerbin, and we'll use these as the landing and reorbit stage. So we're going to attach some landing legs. It's a pretty large vessel, but we're going to be in space, so I think these legs will be just fine. So we'll place those here and set them to be shielded and retract them. That's basically, like, once you are in space, this will be enough, like, to maybe transfer to the Mun and land, and then you'll kick those off and transfer back to Kerbin, but we'll find out. Right now it's at 40 tons, so we're gonna have to build a pretty massive transfer and lift stage. We'll raise this up a little bit. We'll save the vessel in case anything happens, since we've made so much progress. So far so good though. Now to build the rest of this. I'm gonna make sure to put a couple of these this time, because it's gonna be a pretty massive stage now. We'll set one to root and then the other to heavy. Whenever I'm only using one of these, I'll set it to heavy. If I'm using more than one, I'll put like the top two to root, top two to, or bottom two to heavy, or the one on top to root and the other one to heavy. Or if there were like this many, like if I was to put 8 on here, which I usually do for like the 500 ton stages, these top 4 would be to root, these bottom 4 would be to heavy, but we're not doing that right yet. So top one to root, bottom to heavy, and then we'll build that 100-ton stage. This is going to be probably just a vector, since that's a stock part. I'm going to put another tank on the bottom to maximize the fuel. And I don't like it being bare, so I'm going to put a part on here for that engine. That way it just looks better. And it's a little more stable, I think, but could be wrong. But then we'll take the vector, pop it down here, set it to root, and that'll be enough for that. And that might even be enough to do this, but just in case, we're going to asparagus stage. Again, it's just going to be a lot larger now. This will be the central area of that stage, since I attached this. Again, we're going to go smaller, but not a whole lot smaller. Let's see, for the engines that you have, we're going to need probably the skipper, I would say. I think you should have the skipper, so we'll go with the skipper, which means we're going to have to use large tanks. So, let's see, this weighs 360, so we'll use them. We'll put it on like so. Make sure it's set to grandparent, same thing for these, I'm not sure if I did. Okay, cool. And those won't be in the way at all, since they're asparagus staged a little different radially, so we won't have any problem putting a nose cone on these, which I think is this size. No, that's too big. It's the one down here. Okay. And I'm a sucker for aesthetics, so I'm gonna make it look pretty, make it look a little different than those central stages, like so. And I'm going to do the same thing to these. I like it to look different. That'll work. Okay. And just like we did with those up here, we're going to strut the crap out of these. Make sure that they're all attached to one another. But we're also going to make sure that it's attached to the central stage too, which I forgot to do with the one up there, but it won't be as much of an issue because it'll be in space by then. Put one on the bottom, and we'll put one on the top, one on the bottom, and it's already got the decoupler in the center keeping it held together, so that's where we're going to attach it to the central stage, like so. And when we're done with that, just like we did with the other asparagus stage, we're going to go up to the nose cones and attach some struts there. Up. I heard to attach some to the side like this to these, just for the sake of stability. I mean, you probably don't have to. I'm just a worrywart, and I like to make sure I don't get crackened. The more stable your vehicle is, the better chance you have of not being crackened. Alright, now the last thing that we have to do is, much like last time, attach the fuel lines. We'll just stick it above here, and then above the center here. Now we're all set. We just have to put some fins on for aerodynamics, and of course we need some engines. So we'll grab those skippers, pop those bad boys on here, set them to root like all engines should be. Then we can put the vector with those, set it to where those kick off, the vector's still going, and then once that kicks the vector, we'll have that stage take over. We just need to figure out our aerodynamics now. So we have our center of mass, center of thrust. Let's stick those fins on. Might not even really need large ones, so let's just try the small ones. Yeah, we'll stick these down towards the bottom of this stage, and then grandparent those. And then we're going to do the same thing to these outer tanks. Oh yeah, that's looking hot. But, well, I don't think we'll need those tower decouplers for the launch, so we'll just put those on there, set those to grandparent. Everything is staged properly, so we'll set the radial back to 1, save the vessel. Oh yeah, the fact that it has a docking port, we're gonna have to attach, let's see. Guess we'll use this one. We'll attach it here, set the auto strut to grandparent, but here's the kicker. You're going to have to enable the staging on the docking port so you can get rid of that once you're in space. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. It's not, you're not losing too much delta V from it, but if you want to dock to anything, just in case it needs rescued, you'll have to get rid of that. Now, by the time we kick those off and are ready to kick those, the vector stage, that's about the time we'll probably want to get rid of those, or get rid of that. So we'll just put it here, so we have the option to kick that off once we kick this stage and hit this stage. But you'll see here shortly what I mean. I'm going to lower this vessel down to the ground since I'm not sticking those towers around it. Just barely down into there. Should be fine. I would like to use those, but I don't think it's going to be necessary. This is important. Make sure there's only one Kerbal, since you need to have room for your other Kerbals. And Gimli, she'll be fine, so we'll use her, save, and launch. I'm gonna let this thing sit on the pad for a few while I go smoke a cigarette, and then we'll start the mission. And you'll get to see how this kind of vessel should and could help you out with the problem that you're having. But on that note, I will be back in just a few minutes, or after this loads, then I'll go. I mean, for all I know, this vessel could very much be overkill. But, oh yeah, there's there's what I was talking about. I'm gonna recover that vessel. I don't like this bug. It's a bit of a pain. Okay, now we'll stick this thing on the launch pad. Yeah, I could have just loaded up one of these, but I mean, this is more tailored suited for the mission that you're trying to do. There it is, MRB. That's curious. Huh, okay, anyways. Let's get rid of these Kerbals, stick Gimli on there, make sure she's the only Kerbal. Groovy. And okay, what's going on there? Okay. Launch. Alright. See if this loads properly this time. Alright, cool. Successful load, looks stable. It's pointing at 0° inclination. I'm going to leave SAS off for now and go smoke, and I will be back, and we'll see how this works out. I'll be right back. starting to notice that it's not updating either. I'm gonna have to use my phone to keep up with chat, maybe. I'm gonna have to keep looking down at that. Alright, let's do this. SAS on. Oh wow, okay. Let's revert the flight back to launch. I can see the Kraken was starting to get a hold of that since the inclination was no longer at 0. That pesky Kraken. Okay. So hopefully this is a build that you'll be able to do without the making history parts. And hopefully the asparagus staging will help you out too on conserving and having more Delta V to do things with. Okay, cool. I guess after like however many comments it stopped showing them or something. It's weird. I don't know why it's doing that. But here we go. Alright, 0 degree inclination, throttle up, SAS on, launch. Plenty of thrust away. Ideal. These first 2 stages should be enough to get us into orbit and heading to the moon maybe, but we'll find out. Oh, anytime. That's what I'm here for and really enjoy doing. Especially with our little group on Facebook, our community that we have. There's so much help that you could get there. You should definitely consider like getting Facebook and joining us. So we're at 80 degrees, or we're on that 90-degree plane at the 80 mark until we reach about 400 or so. Just we're really wanting to make sure that we're at about 700 to maybe 1,000 by the time we hit this 90-degree angle. And at that point we're going to swap to map mode. But definitely try to make sure your inclination just stays at 90 the whole time, if possible. So that's where we want to be to make our transfer to the moon. Alright, now we're going to go to map mode. As soon as this hits about 70, I'm going to go full sideways. Okay, we're going to kick it sideways now. And I need to get rid of those side stages. Throttle back up just a hair so I can get this sideways. And kick those stages. There they go. It's probably hard to see where it's dark, but there they go. And now we're just going to burn until this hits about 100,000. Get a nice extended line there on the orbit. It's even better, honestly, to go down to about -15. But you have to be very careful how you do that sometimes. I think I'm just going to go -10 for now. But making sure that it stays at a 90-degree inclination. And it's going to lower a little bit for a minute, and it's going to start to raise back up again. If it gets to the point where it just keeps lowering too quickly, or the apoapsis marker and your vessel don't have enough distance, then we'll push it back up to like 0 to 5 degree. But it looks like it's going to be fine. But once that hits about 100,000, I'm going to back off, and it won't take much more than that to make orbit. Or much more from there to make orbit, I mean. So it's almost halfway circularized. By the time it hits 100,000, it's not going to take much at all. And boop. And then we're going to wait until we're out of the... Okay, we're out of the atmosphere. Okay, so since we're out of the atmosphere, let's go on ahead and deploy these solar panels. That one's done. That one's done. Okay. Now we'll go on ahead and warp to about a minute away from that. Oh no, not even a minute. Maybe like 20 seconds or so. That should be fine. And while we're warping, we'll set to prograde so we can automatically adjust. And since we have so many reaction control wheels, it should not take much at all to turn to prograde. As soon as it hits prograde, it'll be time to level this orbit out. It'll be about right there, close enough. Now we just have to look for the moon, which actually we are right where we need to be, just about to transfer to the moon. We're at the cusp of our orbit. I think I'm going to make one more pass, just to make it a little more perfect. Go ahead and set it as our target. That way we can see it through Kerbin. A lot of people say to transfer or begin your transfer like right whenever it's coming across the horizon of Kerbin. I don't like that personally. What I like to do as soon as we get over here, I'll show you. Right here is where most people say to start burning, but you can see down here your prograde marker is not in line with the target. That won't happen until you're about here. And that's the same thing for transferring to other planets too. Which, since I have relays out, you can see this. Like if I was heading to, let's see, right now, Joule's pretty close to where it needs to be. See the line between Kerbin and Joule? That needs to be like right here, to where there's a line from Kerbin to Joule, and like where this orbital line for Kerbin is in between this area. You don't want that. Like, you want it to where it's a nice direct straight line from that orbital line for the planet to Joule. Kind of similar to what we're doing right here. It's like there's that nice line. Well, there would be one if I had communications that could reach all the way out there, but you would see a line from the MUN to your vessel, and once it's a nice clean straight line, that's when you want to start burning, which would be about here. And now you can see that the target reticle and the prograde are almost perfectly lined up. So I'll start the transfer there. It's good to do it a little before, because once you actually start moving towards the moon, it'll move a little bit, but it really just depends on how long it takes to make this line reach the moon. Alright, so there's our vector stage. We gotta get rid of it. Kick it. Now we're on these. And like you saw, once I got rid of those skipper stages, the vector stage still had a full tank of fuel because of the asparagus staging. And this is what I was talking about too. The prograde and the target are now not lined up correctly, so I'm going to move that to about here. That way I can move that prograde line onto the target line a little better and finish this transfer. We should have enough to transfer to the moon and still have enough to make orbit and land with those 4 asparagus stages. So once we're there, we'll see how it goes. But this should be enough to complete the mission that you require. And that should make the encounter once it's close to like 9.5 million, 10 million. So we'll focus the view on the moon and zoom in a little bit on the moon while keeping an eye on that apoapsis. Once it reaches about there, we'll slow down a little bit until we get our encounter. It's a little off, but close enough. Now, I had mentioned that we're going to use the moon land and launch pad as like a target to represent like where you're trying to land. We'll activate that now, and we'll make sure that we try to land there. I'm gonna want this. Woohoo! Okay. Let's try that again. Let's back that off a little bit. Alright, what's that at? 4,000? I'd rather it be 10 or better. That works. Okay. Now, instead of just selecting it and warping straight to it, that can screw your lineup. So, it's better to open the radial menu and enable warp mode and just hit it once, and it barely moved at all. Now when you warp from here, while that's at least ×5, it won't screw up, and you can do it safely. So we'll put it to about a minute ahead of it. Didn't move at all. That's a great way around that bug. So once we're there, see, we're already ready for retro. We're going to reset our focus back on the vessel by hitting the 2 sticks in. And once it hits about 20 seconds, we'll start burning. Probably should have waited till like maybe 7 or 10 seconds, but once we get our apoapsis, I'll back off, highlight it, and slowly ease it into a nice 16K orbit. Once we get it, we're going to have to correct our inclination. You can see, like, it's pushing that periapsis in front of you. We're slowing it down. And when it does that, just slow it down a little bit so it'll stop moving. And keep it relative. And this is a good way to screw up your trim, and you might have to reset it. But you can check it down here. I don't have any, so it's not messed up. That'll only happen, like, if you're holding the shoulder bumper and moving the directional stick at the same time. Alright, so we have a nice orbit. We need to raise it a little bit, or normalize it back to 90. Or I mean 0 in this case. 3, 2, 1, 0. Alright, we'll shift our orbit forward a little bit and correct it again at about here. The central line of the moon. But our goal is to land, well, that's on the dark side, so we'll try to land here at this LZ instead. So let's adjust our line here a little bit. All the while wasting delta V, probably, but that should be pretty close. We'll come back around to the periapsis since it's at a good spot for this. Make sure that we're set to retro and surface. Once we decrease our line, we'll be able to see where we're going to land and be able to adjust it accordingly. And we should have, yeah, we have plenty of delta V left. Should be enough to land. If not, the poodle is still probably going to be enough to land itself once These tanks are empty anyways before kicking them, that way I can still use the landing gear. But let's go back to the map. Okay, and once we hit the... oh yeah, we're gonna have to lower that down a little bit now that it's a little off. So let's go back to orbit and lower that down to where it's nice and lined up with that target. Boop. Okay, and now we'll retro until this line moves in to where it's just a little beyond where we're trying to land. Since it's in a vacuum, it'll be easy to control. About half. Oh no, let's make it to where it's a quarter. About there. Okay. Now we should be able to also see our target. I don't have it set as a target, but you should still be able to see where it is. We'll just warp a little further. And now we need to reduce that to where it's pretty much just barely ahead of the target. I landed here before, so I should be able to land here again, right? We'll start to drop a little bit. We need to reduce it more. Almost to where it's virtually on top of it. Like that. Oh yeah, now we're talking. Alright, we're coming in pretty hot. Let's get that landing gear going. Come on. Reduce it down to maybe 20. If I really wanted to, I could do some crazy burns now to make it to where it will land right on top of it, but we're close enough. I'm going to slow it down just enough, turn my RCS on. That way we have more control while we're landing. Once it hits about 4 or so, I'll back off, let it straighten out, and then I'll kick the SAS off, turn it back on. Oh, that was a little sloppy, wasn't it? Still gonna land it though. Hey, and we're inching closer to where we need to be. Okay, we landed. And we have 52 meters per second of delta V left in those stages before we have to kick them. So this is where you'll load your Kerbals over there where that flag would be up into this. I totally forgot to kick that thing off. Hopefully it doesn't come back down and blow us up or ruin anything, but get on up out of here. Get on up out of here. Okay. So now your Kerbals are loaded up, ready to go home. We want to make sure that we burn towards the 90-degree marker. So we'll start going up, get rid of that, kick those, turn sideways, boost, swap to your map. That's just the stages, don't worry. Go full sideways once you get up high enough, that way you don't hit anything. Let's turn ourselves a little bit here. Once you hit like 500 meters per second or so, you can back off. But by then it should be 10,000 meters or higher. And boop, there we go. And we'll just do what we did last time. Go ahead and warp over here. faster and faster and faster. Once we get there, make sure we are prograde and kick the tire and light the fire. Boop, there we go. And kind of like how we did going to the moon, we'll go over here, wait for Kerbin to come across the horizon. And boop. Back out a little bit so we see how this goes. Kick that tire, light that fire. Plenty of fuel. Once we leave the influence of the moon, we'll see just how accurate of a burn this is to go back to Kerbin. Oh yeah. Okay. And it's gonna move in. Now, there is gonna be a point where I might have to stop and make an... Yep, right here it's gonna start going back up. So I'm gonna go around one time. Hopefully not get hit by the moon in the process. Well, actually I can just stop it right here and then point, if I'm not mistaken, radial in. Yeah, go radial in about halfway. I'm a little over half, but still it'll work. Put our focus on Kerbin so we can fine tune this down to about 38 or so. 35 is about as low as I'll go coming back from the moon. But now we'll just time warp to where we're nice and close to the Earth or Kerbin. Gotta watch our altitude though. Should be, yeah, okay, just about right. Say at 70,000, you want to make sure that you're pointing retrograde and you have all your stuff retracted. But let's go ahead and retract those. We're not going to need them since it's dark anyways. Let's turn retro and surface. And we'll just time warp into 70,000. Once we hit 70,000, we'll start to burn off some speed. It's not really going to matter much, but I don't like to waste it since we have so much left over. It's pretty much orbital velocity at entry trajectory. That's pretty good, I guess. Kick that. Try to move a little bit here and there to get away from it. Go into docking mode to do that, maybe. Yeah, there we go. And the rest is history. We'll just time warp. Doing it too fast though, once your G-force gets real high, will flip your vehicle though, so we'll back off at about 7 or so, like right there, before it got too late. We'll just let it cruise through that G-force until it backs off. Sorry I haven't been keeping up with the chat as good where it's not showing up on my screen and instead on my phone, but hope it's been helpful. And I see Da Vinci is in the chat and going down. I hope it was helpful. to save your Kerbals, this should definitely do the trick. With plenty of Delta V left over. I like to keep the heat shield just in case it goes boom when it lands, but it didn't. We're just flopping around on the hillside. Just gonna let it wait until it comes to rest. Hopefully it doesn't pick up speed and blow up. Come on. Okay, there we go. And then recover. Boom. Kerbals home. And that's pretty much it. Vessel was designed pretty much perfectly for making a direct landing after making orbit on the moon. Saving up to, say there's a 7 Kerbal capacity. If you use a drone, you can save up to 7. If you use a pilot, you can save up to 6. If you use a pilot and an engineer in case anything breaks, you can save all 5 of those Kerbals. So hopefully that helps you or anybody else who might watch this part of this video. And I'm going to wrap that up and go offline, smoke, come back online, and try. And I will see everybody later, or here shortly, probably in like 10 minutes or so when I come back online to resume my Joule mission. And before I go, I'll catch up on this chat though. Let's see, I really hope that you get Facebook and join our group, Fryball. You can get a lot of help from us there. Lots of shenanigans, very, very true. We have a lot of fun. There's also a Kerbal shitposting group, if anybody wants to join that too. We have a lot of fun there too. Let's see, several years and a couple of years. I've only been playing for, I want to say 10 months now. I want to know how I got the Minmus. Used gravity assist. That's cool. Need to use gravity assist more myself. It's a great way to conserve Delta V. Yeah, the moon will throw you in all kinds of places. That pesky moon. No one is judgmental in the group. There's tons of inspiration. Amen to that. And if anybody is, and it gets out of hand, or people get mean for no reason, we kick them, or we warn them, kick them if necessary. We try to keep it clean, but we also know how to have fun. Let's see. I'm sorry I missed all the chat and didn't get the chance to say bye to everybody that left. But again, I hope this helps somebody. Really hope this helps you, Fryball. Hope it was educational for some, or helpful for others. And I'll be back in, say, 10 minutes or so to resume my regularly scheduled breaking ground missions here at Joule. And I'll see you then. Peace out.